This video will give a quick explanation of the Diffie-Hellman key exchange. What we saw was that when you have a very long message that you want to send, what you would typically do is just use RSA to send the key for a symmetric cipher that you both agree you'll use to encrypt a message and then send the message. But instead, what you could do instead of using RSA to send the key is just use Diffie-Hellman. So the goal of it is different than RSA. The goal of this is to, via public channels, just send a key. So, then when I say send a key, make it so, what you want to do is make it so that Alice and Bob share a common secret. So, what we saw in RSA was that they would each use their public and private RSA keys in order to send keys for these symmetric ciphers back and forth, but we'll just cut straight to the chase and make it so that they have a common key in a more streamlined process. So the way it works is Alice is going to choose a large prime. Let's call it P. And then for the purpose of our example, because we'll actually work through with numbers, say she chooses P to be 2,371. Then she has to choose Q, it's between 1 and P. So Q with 1 less than Q less than P. And for us, let's say she chooses Q to be 550. And she also chooses capital A that's also between 1 and P. Say A is 47. Now, what she does is she computes Q to the power of A, so computes Q to the A, so that would be here 550 to the 47. Of course, mod 2371, and that turns out to be 1007. And now what she does is she sends several bits of information to Bob, and this is all done publicly, so as soon as she sends these things, we assume that everyone knows them. So she sends P, this number 2371. She sends Q, so 550, and she sends Q to the A, mod P. So in this case, 1007. Now, Bob receives those, and here's what he has to do. Does two things. So Bob does two things. He has to choose his own secret number that we'll call capital B, because you notice this capital A was secret to Alice. She didn't send it. So two things. He chooses B. That's also between 1 and P. So 1 less than B less than P. Say, in this example, he'll choose B to be 73. Then he computes Q to the B. Mod P, so for us this is going to be 550 to the 73 mod 2371, which is equal to 843. Then he sends 843, that Q to the B, back to Alice. So 843 back to Alice. All right, now the way that they both arrive at a common secret is this. So now Alice has 843 in hand, and she can compute this. 843 to her secret number A, mod 2371. And that's the same as 550 to the B to the power of A, right? Again, mod 2371. And Bob computes, well, what he has in hand is he has 1007 that was sent to him by Alice, and he does that to the B, mod 2371. So that's 550, the Q, to the A, to the B, mod 2371. And now these two right here, these are going to turn out to be the same because of the properties of exponents. But the point is that each person is able to compute that same quantity using their secret information, Alice with her A and Bob with his B, together with what they were sent by the other person. So they end up both knowing this same number in the end. So they end up sharing whatever this turns out to be, and it turns out to be, so 550 to the AB, which is 2255 mod 2371. So that's good. There they have the common secret that they wanted, which they can now use as a key. And the whole point is that the knowledge that the public has is only the things that they passed back and forth. So let's list what the public ended up knowing. So the public knows, well, they saw that first batch of information that went from Alice to Bob, and that consisted of P, Q, and Q to the A, which in this case was 1007. And then they saw Bob send one bit of information back after he got those things from Alice, and it was Q to the B, which was 843. Now the point is that this is not enough information. This is not enough to compute Q to the AB mod P. At least not without sort of solving the discrete log problem so that they could figure out what power did Alice have to raise Q to get 1007. Then they would be able to figure out what this A was. And if they could figure out what power did Bob have to raise Q to get this 843, well then they would be figuring out what B is. And if they were able to do both of those, then they would be able to figure out what this secret number that Alice and Bob shares is, this one right here. But the discrete log problem, as it's called, is famously hard, so they are not going to be able to do that without sort of the development of some new advanced mathematics that we don't know about yet.